So as we look ahead to the trip to Barnsley at the weekend, team news wise, how you looking for this one?
A little bit here, there, and everywhere at minute, Sandy. If we're going to be honest, obviously we had the illness in the camp last week. Still kind of getting over that. So today has been kind of the first day where a lot of those players who've been struggling have come back into training. Got through it fairly well. Obviously, there's still some question marks, but yeah, it's been a tough 7 days, certainly from Friday till today with the illness we've had. But fingers crossed, majority of them should have got through it.
Right. So there must still then be lingering kind of fatigue if you've had those types of illnesses. It doesn't go quickly.
No, it doesn't go quickly now, and we've had to pull some out in certain aspects of training this morning, which frustrates them and frustrates me. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we return them back to training in right frame. We don't want any more injuries. So we'll see. I wanted to get through today. We'll probably do a little bit more tomorrow before I actually nail down how it is we're going to look.
In terms of injuries, actual injuries, Agbire and Sharif, where are they at?
I think it probably might come a little bit too soon Saturday. Sharif's been a difficult one, really. Didn't feel too well. He's a little bit tight in an area, and we've been working closely with Everton. So Everton are kind of monitoring that situation around his return. Look, he's a big prospect for Everton Football Club, so we have to work with Everton, and we'll see how that develops. I shouldn't imagine that he'll be out too long. He'll be back. Lenny's trained this morning again. If Saturday comes too soon, we'll see. He's still feeling a little bit of discomfort in a certain area, so we'll see how he gets on with that. He's been having a few injections in and around it to try and help it, and he's a bit frustrated, if I'm going to be honest, that he's not back out on the grass as a lot of players are, me included. As a manager, I want Lenny Agbire fit, but yeah, again, they're the things that we can't kind of change at this moment in time.
In terms of positives, how good was it to see Raggets pull on a shirt and play some football, even only for a couple of minutes last week?
Yeah, really good. And I think I spoke about it after the game Saturday, just having that bit of experience to bring on towards the end of a game. We put Raggett and Kelly on, and they've played hundreds of games between pair of them, so they understand it. Really good leaders, and it was nice to be able to put them on in a situation towards the end of the game where we could see it through.
Is he in a position? Look, the question mark is always going to be there, sadly, with Sean, because he's just had a torrid time with injury problems. As to where he's at with regard to playing, well, quite a bit or a lot or as much as you would like now after everything that's gone on.
I think if you speak to Rags, he probably will admit at times through his career he's probably not done himself favours in terms of playing through pain, playing through injuries. However, on the other side of that, like he also says, look, I've had success when I've done it and played through it. So it's really difficult. I think obviously he's a warrior. He puts his body on the line. He wins his headers. He competes. He's physically strong, and he puts his body on the line every time he pulls a shirt on. So I think that's been some of his downfall, I hate to say, if there is a downside to it. The good side is that he's going to be ready to go even if his leg's hanging off. That's just the type of character and lad that he is. So you want those characters in around the training ground, but at the same time, sometimes he has a tendency to rush himself back.
You were speaking glowingly about Hugill too after the match last week, not least for stepping up when he too had clearly been unwell. And for some Rotherham supporters, that might seem like they don't want to hear that type of thing, but it's probably true to say in the last 5 or 6 matches, illness or not, he's shown a bit of form.
He has, yeah, and he changed the game when he coming against Northampton. Yeah. I thought if you'd have probably seen him before the game as a fan, you'd have no way you'd have thought he were going to play the game. And they're the characters you want. I've laughed this morning because today's been his first day back in, and he's got colour in his cheeks. Last time I saw him look like a snowman. So the fact that he put his body on the line, and look, I've said to the lads, and I don't mean in terms of football wise, but for me, Saturday were our best performance this season. Not because of the football, not because of anything other than the grit, the steel, the determination, the throwing your body on the line, people out of position, people proper digging in for each other. And I've said for a while about this football club, that's the DNA of it. That is who we are, what we represent. That has to be at the forefront of everything we do. There's been times this season where we haven't done that, and kind of I've come on on radio and you've seen disappointment in my face. So they're the bits that we've got to control. They're the bits that we've got to bring every week, and that's what I was really pleased about Saturday.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of Rotherham fans, Jordan still has a lot of making up to do, but this might help the perception of his time here.
Yeah, but look, I can't go back over history. Like, since I've been at this football club, John Hugo's been outstanding as a guy, as a bloke, around the training ground. He's the best version of himself he can be. He works tirelessly in training. He's first in gym. Like, look, they're the characters you want, and if they rub off on one or two other people, then fantastic. But that is what ends up happening. Your good pros drag some of this inexperienced younger ones through. They buddy up with somebody, and all of a sudden you see a big upturn in their performance. So, look, like I say, look, it's your opinion, fans' opinion, if he's been a success here or not. But from the time I've worked with him here, he's been a credit to this football club.
Not going to go over history, but why on earth in 55 years have Rotherham not beaten Barnsley?
Well, again, I can't control that. I can control that one opportunity that we had earlier this season, obviously, in the Cup. But I can't answer that. I think all I can speak about is the games where we have been involved in it. I can remember the Victor Johansson decision.
Indeed.
And Carlton Morris, and I thought we were excellent that day in an empty stadium. And we haven't had many games, certainly while I've been involved with the football club, against Barnsley. So, yeah, we need to turn it round, don't we? Barnsley will probably be thinking that, oh, we'll win comfortably because we always beat Rotherham, and we have a point to prove and try and end this yearly whatever it is that is going on, voodoo people might say, or whatever. But look, it has no reflection on Saturday's game. It's Barnsley against Rotherham today. Matt Hamshaw, Conor Hurahan trying to get 3 points for their teams, and that's what it'll boil down to. And we just need to try and be a better team.
Yeah, no, but as you are steeped in it more than most, how much have you heard about that very fact since the Leyton Orient game, that Rotherham just seemed to Barnsley have got a hex over Rotherham seemingly?
I heard about it all summer, if I'm going to be honest. It wasn't just this last week. So, look, I knew about it when we played them in the Cup, obviously, and that was disappointing because obviously every game of football you want to win. I felt we played really well, and then we kind of blew up at the end and didn't have many bodies defensively, cover-wise, and we got found out really for that situation. But I thought we played some real good football. I really like Barnsley as a football team. I think they play some excellent football going forward. Got some really good players I've worked with previously, obviously David McGoldrick, one of the best players I've ever worked with, and I have the credit to know him as a bloke. Again, great character, great bloke, but I hope he's upset at Saturday night at 5 o'clock, and I'm quite happy. So yeah, loads of time for Barnsley Football Club. I think they try and do things right way. I really like Conor. I think he's brought calmness and steadied the ship a little bit. They're probably a little bit like us in the transitional phase type. But that's kind of where we are, really. There's so much respect for them, but I want to beat them Saturday.
A question I'm going to ask now almost seems lazy and is definitely cliched, but when you were with Conor at Derby County, did you get the sense then that he was already thinking about coaching, or was the type of player you'd imagine few years in the future would be a manager and a coach?
Yeah, he were doing his coaching while we had him. He'd sit with us as a group of staff and myself, obviously, with set pieces, because he was kind of my set piece taker. So we'd sit down, go through routines, go through bits and bobs that we can see, how we can highlight strengths and weaknesses. He's a rounded fella. He's obviously been in a changing room, being a captain. He's bright in terms of coaching and seeing things, and he kind of managed a lot of situations for us at times at Derby. So yeah, I've got a huge amount of respect for him. He's had an amazing career, and I'm sure that the future will bring good things for him in coaching, because he's switched on, he's diligent. The thing I like about Conor, that I like about all ex-pros who do it, is they come outside of the first team bubble to kind of earn the stripes. And I know he worked in and around Derby's academy, he worked in and around Villa's academy. He obviously went across to Barnsley, which wasn't easy. I know he lives in Birmingham, he's travelling across to Barnsley and doing the hard yards. And look, it isn't easy, and it is hard, and nobody sees it until I mention it now, and I'll mention that to him Saturday night after the game. But that's what I like. I like pros who and it doesn't matter where you coach, who you coach, why you coach. You've got to make mistakes along the way, and I just think sometimes people are quick to jump straight out of playing into first team football.
Cam Dawson's just been sat where you're sat, and he's obviously got great experiences of derbies in this part of the world for several teams now. And he was speaking about almost convincing yourself to enjoy the atmospheres of these occasions, because you're going to get more stick. There's more people in than there might be for some other teams that you're going to face. And actually, it can be quite fun.
I love it. I love derbies. I like everything it brings with it. I think form goes out a window. I think league positions go out a window. We've seen it so many times in so many games. Certainly in this area. Don't matter if you're favourite, don't matter if you're underdog, don't matter what people say. You pull up to ground, there's an excitement that is different to a regular league game. There's obviously be a good following from Rotherham in that away end. And they need to be loud as they were when we played at Oakwell earlier in the season, and they need to make a difference. And I'm sure they will. We were pleased with the Northampton game, and I thought fans stood behind the team, as they have done all season, to be honest. Even when we've not had great results, I think they're seeing what we're trying to do. I think they're seeing the culture that we're trying to embed. I can remember stood clapping them at end at Mansfield game, and some were a bit not happy with me, which I understand that. But I just remember clapping them thinking, I get it, you've spent your money, you've travelled here, you want your team to win, and we haven't delivered. But they've stuck with us and stuck with the team. And look, I kind of say this every interview I've ever had, so I know it becomes a little bit lost on people, but it means the world. It means the world to me that they follow the team, it means the world that they support the team, and it means the world for me that we can try and get them results and put smiles on their faces after games, as we have done recently, but we need to continue doing.
Does this game have a little bit of an X-ray for you? Because you live near Barnsley, don't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose I do. Yeah, I think you see a lot more. I see a lot more Barnsley folk around town, and people know me probably a little bit more now because I'm doing this job. But I haven't had as much stick as I probably might do. However, that could change after the hear this interview. So let's see. But yeah, no, look. I think like the Bradford game, as much as I know Bradford's, it's still a derby, and I thought the atmosphere that night were excellent, and we're quite fortunate in this league with Doncaster as well, who obviously we've played, and we didn't have a great result there, but took an amazing following. I just think they had that extra added bit, and I kind of know, being a Rotherham fan, what it means to the fans and what that represents. So I try my hardest to make sure that the players understand that. And I think I've said this quite a bit as well. Look, the lads aren't Rotherham United fans, believe it or not, but I am. So I want them to play with that pride and passion that myself and the staff have certainly got for this football club.
55 years of crops up again, I'm as guilty as anybody writing about it. But does it actually mean anything? It's not like it's the same set of players who play in every game.
No, yes and no. I think, look, it's always a good headline starter, isn't it? I think like you capture people's imagination when you say. And I think that everybody will kind of possibly start saying, oh, well, like I've just said, that you can't beat Barnsley because you never win at Oakwell. And I don't know whether players' mindsets like that affect them, whether they hear it and it affects them, or if it were me, I'd be like, right, I can't wait for Saturday to get rid of that. That'd be my mindset, and that's the mindset I'm trying to get across to the players. And they're well aware what it means. We were really disappointed with the results against Barnsley and Doncaster earlier this season, but I just feel we're in a better place as a team and a squad and a group and confidence wise. And look, that doesn't mean that we're going to go there and win or anything like that, but I just feel we're better prepared than we have been recently.
1-2. Well, let's talk about the match in hand first and foremost, and a South Yorkshire rivalry against Barnsley. How much are you guys looking forward to this one?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Obviously, come into it in a good bit of form, couple of wins, and feeling good around this place now. So really looking forward to the game.
It seems as though you really turned a corner when that free kick went in against Northampton.
Yeah, I think the corner came a bit before that, if I'm honest. We started to feel like we were getting somewhere, and we could feel that win coming. But we did need to get that win, and we got it at Northampton. And was fortunate enough to back it up again at the weekend against Leyton Orient. So we'll be looking to keep that momentum.
And that's so important, isn't it? That once you try and get on a roll, capitalising as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, momentum's massive in football. It's obviously but being around it long enough, when you're in a bit of a rut, it's tough, and you need to get yourselves out of it. And then when you do, suddenly the confidence comes back, and along with a few players that we've managed to get back, and suddenly you can see the light and the results start coming, and performances. And yeah, we want to ride that momentum now and see how far we can go.
Even to the point where after the match at Northampton, probably full of the joys of scoring, Joe Rafferty was saying, "Look, I know this might sound mental, but I think we can get into the playoffs. What do you reckon in quieter times?"
Yeah, not like Raf to get emotional after a game. I definitely don't want to. I'll probably go down a slightly different route and not put a playoff tag on us just yet. But yeah, we believe in the quality of players we've got. We believe in what we can do and what the coaches and manager are trying to get us to do. And hopefully, if we keep winning games, like I say, in another month or two, we can sort of put ourselves in that picture.
How much of Rotherham fans mention the fact that for many different reasons they just don't seem to beat Barnsley? So how much of that is a motivation this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's a South Yorkshire derby first and foremost. It's a huge game and one we want to win for ourselves and the club. But for the fans, we understand we've not won there in a while, and we'd absolutely love to send them home happy on Saturday. It'll be a tough game. It always is there. I don't think I've had a straightforward one there yet. So we'll be ready. We'll be prepped, and like I say, we're aware of the history, and we'll be looking to put our mark on that Saturday.
Yeah. What are some of your key memories, either clearly with the Millers or Sheffield Wednesday, of facing the Reds?
Yeah, I've obviously got one good one from my previous time, but I'll be completely honest. I've always found Oakwell a really tough place to go. They're a good side. They've always been a really strong home team. So it'll be tough Saturday. Like I say, it always is, and we'll have to be at our best if we're going to get something.
You're kind of very well placed to talk about Yorkshire derbies. I mean, clearly you've played in the Steel City derby and huge fixtures. Is it different? Do you sort of think about it differently, even if the preparation's the same? Do you get a sense that the atmospheres may be different when everybody's from the same patch?
Yeah, I think the main thing is the atmosphere. It's you prep the same. You try and keep everything as normal and as similar as it is week on week. But when that first whistle goes, it's the noise and it's the atmosphere. But that is what we do it for. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I love that. I'd rather play in a hostile atmosphere than a flat game. So yeah, I'll be really looking forward to it Saturday. With the rest of the boys, and hopefully we can go there and put a win together and send everyone home happy.
So yeah, Barnsley then as a challenge. Then who do you look at as perhaps being their threats? They've
got a lot of good players, some really good attacking players, really dynamic, and they've got players that have been there a while. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and name all their players and go through their strengths, surprisingly. But yeah, they're a good side. They've got some good players. They've got a young coach who's hungry and making his way in the game as a coach who's had a brilliant career. So yeah, they play some front foot stuff, and we've had a little look at them, and hopefully it's a good game.
Given the fact that both clubs, whether it's obviously Matt Hamshaw and others within the dressing room here, and clearly others at Oakwell, people like Mark Roberts, it kind of helps that there's a dash of sort of South Yorkshire across this game, because other derby matches, they could be from here, there and everywhere, and it's maybe not the same.
Yeah, there's obviously a bit of representation from Yorkshire in the camps, and players that have been around it a while and been around these games. So we know what it means. The boys know what it means. That the manager's been really keen in letting people know the sort of the history and how we can put our mark on that Saturday. So yeah, I think I personally look forward to any game, but these South Yorkshire games are a bit special, and yeah, we're really looking forward to going.
And this season, whether it's South Yorkshire specifically, or Yorkshire with Huddersfield and Bradford, and even teams sort of slightly further south that don't have to travel too far, so will bring big crowds with them, that really puts a sort of spring in the step of this season for all of the teams that kind of applies to. And there's sort of 6 or 7, and you kind of wonder whether it could have a big bearing on ultimate success or failure.
Well, yeah, it will do naturally, because there's so many clubs around this area. Yeah, so it definitely will have a bearing. It's good that there's so many games for me. I think, like I say, I love those games. I love playing at the New York when the away end's packed. I think you want that. I think football needs it. They need those rivalries and those sort of high pressure games and high atmosphere games. So yeah, I think it's definitely a positive for this league, for our club, that we've got so many local games.
What about you? How are you assessing your own form and contribution at the minute?
Yeah, I've been pretty happy, pretty steady, pretty solid. I don't know what you want to describe, like other people do that. But yeah, obviously we had a tough start to the season. Goals went in the net. Goals are going to go in the net. It's incredibly tough when you're not playing at your best and the team's struggling. But I felt pretty steady throughout all of that, and there was definitely no ups or downs from me. It was staying very level and just working on the job in hand. So that's what I tried to do. That's what I'll try to do going forward. I'll like I say, I'm not jumping through hoops because I kept a clean sheet on Saturday. It's just another week in the life of a goalkeeper, and we'll look to move on.
I suppose it kind of helps the perception maybe from the fan base that you've pulled off quite a few quite eye-catching saves in recent weeks that maybe just you didn't need to make earlier in the campaign.
Yeah, well, we were losing every week, so I could have done with some. But yeah, it happens. Football's like that. You don't see the best goalkeepers in the world make save on save week on week. You'll naturally have games where you're busier and you make those saves, and sometimes you'll have a game where you don't feel you've done a lot wrong, but you've walked away with a 2-0 defeat or something like that. That's just the nature of the job. But thankfully now I'm at an age and a level of experience where I can sort of process everything and move on pretty quickly.
So, can we talk about atmosphere? What's it like for a goalkeeper, like stood behind full home or away end in the derby? It must be like the loneliest position on the field, really.
Yeah. But it's definitely good, and I prefer that than to be stood in front of an empty stand. I think we're professional footballers, we're competitive animals. If someone's giving me a bit in my ear, it definitely doesn't. It's definitely not a negative for me. Shall we put it that way? So yeah, I don't know. We're a bit mad, aren't we? But I'd probably prefer that than just be hearing nothing. To be honest,
yeah, you can have a bit of a laugh to yourself if you hear something.
Yeah, even give a little bit back at certain times. Yeah, it's part of it. Sometimes you can, if that's what you feel like you need in the time to get yourself going, then maybe give a little back, maybe play on it a little bit, or maybe just get on with your job. It depends in the moment what you feel like you need.
What's the most hostile atmosphere you've played?
Ooh, good